Alright, a little bit more about the timeline. As you can see, now that my content's down here, my my content from the left to the right has a lot of different options here. I can toggle the visibility by clicking the eye. I can set the layer to be locked, so I then can't actually edit that. I can change the color of what my content is how my content is being shown. Okay, so I'm going to change that to red. The other things that I can do is simply resize the tools and the title size here. The buttons down at the bottom, these will either expand or collapse different layer switches for your layer. What these mean is from the left to the right here, you have you can toggle the visibility of several layers at once by using this little shy guy, and I'll need to drag in a couple more copies of this image just to show you what this means. So now I have three different images of the same thing in my layout here. If I'd like to work on just a few of these at a time, I can toggle those as shy, and then I can press this button up here, and this basically will hide all layers for which the shy is enabled. So if all of these were toggled down, when I push the shy guy, they'll all disappear. If just one of them was down, then that one guy will just disappear there. The settings here, this will basically show the quality of your content layer is either draft or high quality. Over here, the little ball that's got little ghost images behind it, this is motion blur. So if you're moving things around in your scene relatively fast, if your layer is flagged as having motion blur enabled, then it will create a streaking effect. And this one here is a 3D layer toggle, so if you want to animate things in 3D space, you can toggle that on. And this last column here just has to do with parenting. What parenting means is, say I wanted to animate one of these images and have another one follow. What I would do is simply go to the layer that I would like to have to be following the parent layer, and set that to that layer's name. So when I'm moving this layer up at the top, this second image here is treating this one as a parent, so the parent is moving this. It's a parent-child relationship. So it's one way to kind of hook things together. I can also use this pick whip here. Just by picking this layer here, it will use this as a parent. Okay. A little bit how content is treated in After Effects. You can set in and out points of files, meaning that just because it's in here doesn't mean it needs to be visible for the whole entire duration of this film. I can set when the object, its in point and out point is set, and you do that by using the square brackets on the keyboard. So for example, if I want the image of the red Moodle logo to start here, I'll hit the left bracket, and at 1 second, say I want it to disappear, I'll hit the to the right square bracket, and then its visibility is toggled off. So I can do that for each of my layers. Okay, and let's see here. Just holding down my Option key, and I'm using the left square bracket, holding down the Option key, and hitting the right square bracket. So if I was over here, changing the If I want the duration of this to be the whole entire duration, I would just hit the right square bracket, and then this main logo here will stay visible for the 3.5 seconds here. Things you can do also are just moving the content just by clicking and dragging it. Okay, you can also set in and out points of several layers at a time by using the square brackets. So setting the beginning of the content by using the square bracket, and then within the content, if you want to trim it, you would hold down Option and hit the left square bracket, and then Option and then the right square bracket. So I can do that to multiple layers at once. You can do that for a lot of things as well. You can set opacity to several of these layers at once just by having them selected. Each of these objects has a rollout underneath it, and for each of these different attributes and more in the effects library, you can animate your content. So for example, I'll just hide these two images for now. Delete those. Position, I can move the position. The first number in After Effects, separated by the comma, is your X axis, and your second number is your Y axis, so that's up and down, and then left and right. Okay. Any of these attributes can be animated. So for example, I would want to have this image visible for the whole entire duration of my film because I'm going to be animating it. So I'm going to use the Option right square bracket, and I'm going to define the endpoint of that there. And say I want my position to be off the screen. Okay, in order for this to be animated over time, I need to push this little timer in. And what this does is set a key for that object at that position. And then what I would do is just simply go to the time that I'd like to have that changed, and I'd move my position to that location. So that image is there at 4 seconds, or 4 seconds and 2 frames. So now when I animate that, that will automatically tween the motion for that. You can also animate scale, rotation, and opacity as well. So if I would like to have my opacity at the very beginning set to 0, which is transparent, and then gradually go to 100, just go to 100 there, and then it will fade in and out. I can also move these keys closer to one another, so if I would like to have this invisible and then fade in quite quickly, I can do that. These keys can be moved around and adjusted. They can also be copied and pasted, so if I would like to have, this is my 0%, and then when my 100, I can select this, I can copy it with Control or Command C, and then I can use Control or Command V to paste that key. So now we got a fade in and then a fade out. So these keys are pretty easy to adjust. Now the further you go with the rollouts, the more definition you can add to this. The button over here will let you snap from one key to the next. So what this is allowing me to do is go directly to the key that I want to change the value for. So for example, if I just want to bring this to 70%, then it's going to go from 0 to 70 to 0 again. Okay, as soon as if I'm happy with that animation, I could save it, or if I just check this timer off, it'll actually remove the animation. So you have to be careful about checking this timer on and off, because for whatever keys you've set, it will actually erase your keys. Okay, a little bit about just renaming files in your your timeline here, if you'd like to change any name in After Effects, you select it and hit the return key on the keyboard. And then you can type in here my logo. Even if I'd like to change the name of my composition, I would select it and type the return key and then type the new name that I'd like.